In today's video, I want to talk about confidence and how it's one of the biggest things that I see people come up against, especially in creative industries. If we don't believe in ourselves and what we're doing, it's really hard to kind of put yourself out there, but it's really hard to make your dreams a reality because you're not putting yourself out there, right? You're not visible, and it all kind of stops you getting the opportunities that you really want. So I think it's a really, really important thing to discuss. It's something that I've kind of struggled with for many, many years. And I be honest, I don't know what the root is. It might be like not taking enough action, maybe. But yeah, I just want to give like 3 examples of things that I've kind of implemented over the years that have really helped me kind of believe in myself, but just put myself out there more. And that is kind of like a domino effect. You need all of these things, right? You need to be putting yourself out there. So that's why I'm kind of doing this video, because it's so important. I think people kind of underestimate how important it is if they're just like, oh, I kind of struggle with confidence. And yeah, it's just a thing I deal with, but there are ways around it. And, you know, confidence comes from action, but I think you also need to have accountability and support in place as well to make sure that you do take the action. So I just want to give 3 examples. 3 examples, they're kind of scenario based, and I've kind of chosen these examples because I think they're quite valid currently, in today's climate. So the first example is I want to talk about like outreach. So like that's kind of like be reaching out for like various kind of opportunities, be it a job or like kind of promoting your services or products. It could be applied to many things, but I'll just talk about outreach for work because I think that is really important at the moment because the job market is just cooked. It's like it's so weird at the moment, and I don't think it's just in certain cities. I think it's like everywhere. So I just want to kind of give a really cool example of something that kind of worked for me. And I've been applying for like work like crazy. And I've kind of been getting interviews, and I was maybe getting to like the final like 2 or 3. And but like people were just like, mate, what, you're getting interviews? Like people were like considering that a win. So I think we're in quite a weird time at the moment. So basically with outreach, what I started doing, so I was obviously still applying for jobs and stuff within like my kind of industry. I always kind of look for things that are kind of aligned with my interests and kind of like my values, right? Like what was the company all about, and are they kind of supportive of independent people and people trying to do good in the world? But anyway, I kind of did like a lot of research on places, so I kind of started doing it in a more outreach kind of way instead of just like applying in a sort of traditional format. I was kind of reaching out to places that I would like to work. And that had those kind of values, right? And those kind of things where they kind of championed up and coming people and like kind of made it accessible for new artists, because in my given field in music, that's always been a thing, a bit of a barrier to entry and a bit of a gate kept kind of thing, like in various sectors of the industry, it's always been a thing. But anyway, what I started doing was I was just like, I'm just going to call these places. You know what I mean? And I was just thinking of like, what is a more direct approach? Obviously I'm not going to turn up on their doorstep, but like what's a more direct form of communication that I can use instead of just emailing like an info@whateverplace.com, you know what I mean? Because it's like their inbox is going to be Sergio Ramos. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? They're just not, imagine these places, right? Because you're not going to be the first person that's thought of being like, that was going to be a cool place to work. And it's easy to just email, right? So I was just like, what could be a more direct form of communication? So I was like, I could turn up at the company, but that could be a bit weird. So I was just like, I'm just going to call them. So I just started doing that. Honestly, like I started calling a bunch of places. There were some studios. There was a gallery, like an art gallery that I was just like, oh, this looks really cool. And it's just having work to fill in the gaps with the kind of other things I was doing. So I was like, at that point, I needed something a bit more stable and consistent. So yeah, I just kind of reached out to these places, and it was crazy. Like it was, and also Like, I'm not overlooking that it can be quite scary to just pick up the phone and kind of sell yourself a little bit. But what I did was I kind of just wrote a little script of like, a little intro about myself, and like, and are you currently hiring, as a sort of tag on the end kind of thing. So yeah, just write something out so you've got like a bit of a prompt and you don't just freeze, and just kind of write a little blurb about yourself, like a couple of lines like, my name is X, Y, and Z. I've previously worked for this company. I think it aligns with this, business. Are you currently hiring? I'd love, is there anyone around that is available to take a call, or, whatever, kind of just get something in place. And I did that like quite a lot. Obviously, what happens as a result of that is that you get more confident, because you're taking action and you're kind of having interactions as well, which kind of will boost the dopamine a little bit and make you feel really great. And it ends up being a bit of a like, oh, who else can I call? Do you know what I mean? It ends up being, yeah, I don't know. It's very interesting, but it was really cool because what I found happened. So I think there was a place that was top of my list, and I called the reception and the owner answered. And I ended up being on the phone to him for like 45 minutes. And it was like, just had a really cool chat. And then he was like, you sound awesome. You're kind of ticking the boxes. Send over a CV. And then what happened? He gave me his direct email. You know what I mean? It wasn't like info out, it was his actual direct email. And he's obviously requested that I send him stuff. So he's going to be, it's going to be on his radar. And then I spoke to him later on. I basically got, they were hiring, and he invited me in for an interview. Because this is the thing, he said, like, he was like, I've got thousands of CVs. Like, I just don't know where to start with it. So people just kind of have that choice paralysis where they're just like, I don't know what to do. So you want to make things easier for people. So the fact that I kind of spoke to him, and we kind of had like a bit of a connection, that was a really good start. And then I think he knew of someone who did a similar job to me in a previous company that I worked for. So he knew kind of the vibe of what the job that I had previously done had entailed and how it could be implemented in his business. So it was amazing, and it was just like a massive light bulb moment where I was just like, oh yeah, of course, like you're gonna stick out more if you take that sort of action and you take a more direct approach to how you communicate with people and how you put yourself out there, because it takes courage as well. And I think people respect that. And I did this for loads of companies, and I did some bits for them. It didn't end up being a massively long-term thing, but also another person I spoke to who was a bit colder. Obviously, you're going to get different responses from people, and you've just got to, that's going to happen, isn't it? But honestly, like, bear that in mind when you're doing stuff like that. It's like when you're putting yourself out there, it's like people respect it. It takes courage, and they're gonna remember you, because you're gonna have some sort of interaction. If you're a decent person and you've got experience and you wanna work hard, and you have the right attitude, you're gonna stick out. Like, it's gonna be. I think it's just, yeah, it's really cool. I just, yeah, it was a really cool experience doing that. And it also boosted my confidence, because you have these interactions, and the more you're doing something, it's the whole action. But the accountability, I don't know, there's a few things involved in it. It's like learning more about yourself and what keeps you accountable. Obviously, other people can keep you accountable, but what keeps yourself accountable? Um, so it's really cool. Outreach, think of the more direct approaches and forms of communication. And the more you do it, the more confident you'll get. And then the more results you'll get, the more that the more out there you'll be, the more visible you'll be. It's a better word. And that can be applied to everything. I just use the job thing because it's something that everyone seems to be really struggling with. A lot of people are being like made redundant, or their hours are being cut, or there's like, yeah, it's just a really weird time at the minute. But that could be applied to anything, really. There's always ways of finding a more direct form of communication with someone, even if it is just a more specific email, like their actual email. Might require a bit of digging, but I think it's really key. So number two, this was really cool, and this fuses action with accountability. So this is my open mic story, my open mic segment. It's for performers to get up and either do like, I don't know, a short set if it's like stand up, or, a short set if it's usually 2 or 3 songs if you're a songwriter. I'd been talking about doing one of these for ages, right? Because I'm from like a band background, right? So always playing in bands. And I recently kind of transitioned into being a solo artist. And I kind of said, oh yeah, like I want to just get up and do some stuff on my own. I've been saying it for ages. And I think because it had been so long, A, I'd forgotten what it was like to perform. But B, I think like I'd just left it so long that I had got more nervous about the idea of it. So what happened? A couple of things happened, right? So one thing happened where I went out for drinks with a friend of mine who I'd been telling that I was, a songwriter. And there happened to be an open mic happening. And there were just no performers there, but it was really busy. And like the guy hosting the night was like, are there any songwriters here? Like, I just want someone to get up and just get there. And my mate was like, Jam, get up, mate. You're a songwriter. And I was like, I mean, and this is the thing, right? This is important to notice, right? That obviously I'm a songwriter. But like, because of how I was working then, I was currently like, I was recording. I was in my kind of like recording phase. So I was like, I'd maybe recorded some keys, some guitar, and then I was maybe recording vocals and then mixing it and then doing all the artwork. I was kind of like in that sort of process. So when it came to like actually being like, can I actually play it as a song? I just couldn't, because I just couldn't remember all the bits. And then is it the right key for me to sing in a sort of delicate, sort of more acoustic kind of setting? Do you know what I mean? So I wasn't rehearsed basically. So this is like really key as well, right? So, but what happened is that kind of interaction where I was like, oh, what sort of songwriter am I if I can't do that and get up and play a song? Which I know is a little bit defeatist of me to like kind of maybe be like that, but that's kind of what my mind was telling me, like, oh God, like you need to kind of fix this in a way. So that kind of was my trigger to be like, I need to be able to, if I'm going to say I'm a songwriter, I should be able to whip out a guitar and sing one of my songs like that. That's kind of like how I feel about it and how I felt about it then. So what did I do? It kind of lit a fire under me really, and I just went, you know what? I'm just going to learn a 3-song set. So it's like I set some parameters, because obviously that is kind of like you're kind of usually the general length of a set for an open mic anyway. But I was like, I'm going to learn 3 songs, but I'm going to learn them really well. I'm going to experiment with some tunings to make it maybe sound a bit more interesting, which I did actually. I just used like a kind of really cool standard E tuning, but it's you kind of detune the B and the E string. But anyway, so I kind of went with that, and I was like, cool. So I've set parameters, 3 songs. It's going to be these off my current EP. I'm going to use that tuning, and then I'm just going to rehearse it till I know it like the back of my hand. Do you know what I mean? So if I get a little bit nervous, which most of us do before we perform, because that's part of the magic of it, it will counter that, because I'll be so rehearsed from a bit nervous, I should still be okay. So prepared loads. And also what I did, I found like an open mic that actually had a sign up beforehand. So you could pick your slot before the night. So that was actually really important, because sometimes you're waiting all night and it's like there is a possibility that you might get a bit too drunk. Definitely haven't done that before, by the way. So yeah, you can pick an earlier slot, so it might be a bit quieter. You might not want too many people there when you first do it. Or you might want a later one where people are a bit more rowdy, maybe. Really depends, but that was really helpful. But what happened, so those kind of things made me accountable, right? Because I pre-booked a slot as well, I was like, well, I've got to show up, because I know myself. And this is the thing about knowing yourself for the accountability thing. It's like, I know myself. So if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And if I put my name down, I'm not going to be that guy that just doesn't show up, especially a lot of towns and cities, even if they're big towns or cities, like I feel like the industries, the creative industries specifically, are like really small. So you don't want to get a bad rep basically by being the guy that doesn't show up. So I've kind of had that drilled into me, I feel. And it's just general respect thing, isn't it? And common courtesy to at least tell them if you're not showing up. But I don't want to be that guy. So that's what I did. I kind of made myself accountable by booking it and being like, I'm doing it. And the thing is, you'll find by the time you've left the house and then you've maybe got there and it's just like, oh God, it's time. You haven't even got time to really think about it. So I think that's been really, really important in that sort of journey. And then obviously what happens when you perform, you feel amazing, and then you want to do it again. And yeah, before you know it, I was just doing open mics every week and just and building up a network. I was going on my own as well, which was really good. And I know that can maybe sound daunting, but when I went on my own, what I found is that people were more willing to approach me. And also the same thing applied for me, is that because I was on my own, I felt like it just kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone more there, where I was like approaching more people, made loads of connections that way. And I think you can liken it to why people travel on their own. People go traveling on their own, don't they? And some people meet like friends for life on that kind of journey, or sometimes even they find like their partners and stuff. So it's like, I think it's a really good thing to consider. So make yourself accountable, find something that you can pre-book. The third thing is with like a songwriting session that I did. So this is crazy actually, because I've never done like a songwriting session where it's like you just turn up and you don't know anyone there. You're basically meeting strangers. And the premise is to obviously write a song. Sometimes more than one. If you're in the Nashville vibe, they kind of do 3 a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But yeah, this was actually through a label, and they kind of just said like, oh, one of the friends of the label is kind of putting together like songwriting sessions, and yeah, they was in London, and yeah, it was mad because he kind of said like, "Are you up for it?" And I just said, "Yep." Didn't even think about it. I was just like, "Yep." And that's again the accountability thing. I said, "Yeah." So it's like, I'm doing it now. But I was so nervous because it's like, God, what if I can't come up with anything? Do you know what I mean? Like, what if like, I don't know, we don't get on, or what if it's just a complete disaster? But then I was just like, what if it goes really well? What if it's just an amazing experience and we come out with a great song, and and it's more connections and it's more networking, isn't it? And it's just more experience as well, and it's something that I've never done. So I thought it'd be a really good test for me as well, right? Because I've never done that before, ever. Obviously, I've collaborated with other people in like bands and stuff, which is a kind of similar thing, but this is totally different. This is like turning up and being like, right, let's write a song. Like now in the moment, there's no hiding behind anything, because you're just there and you've got to do it in real time, and you've got like, perimeters with time as well, right? You've just got a day. But it was amazing. And I think that mindset shift of being like, what if it goes really well, was really, really powerful, because sometimes we can kind of have negative self-talk and be too worried. Like, what if I embarrass myself, essentially? And it's like, we shouldn't feel like that, because it's like, surely like being more embarrassed about something is not doing the thing. I feel like that's more embarrassing. So I think like that mindset shift of being like, what if it goes well? What if we write an amazing song, and like I get on really well with these people and I end up writing more with them? So I think that's really key. And it kind of reminds me of something that my friend used to say. He always used to say, you've already got the no. You've already got the no with this stuff. So it's essentially his way of saying like, you've got nothing to lose. You're already at like, say like, you're on the ground floor, and you can take this opportunity and go for it. And you could end up on the first or second floor, or it doesn't work out and you just end up back where you were anyway. So yeah, basically his form of you've got nothing to lose. And it's just like, you really haven't. But you've got everything to gain from putting yourself out there. So yeah, those are my 3 examples. So the outreach, the performance thing, and the songwriting thing. It's like all those things, I think they all have similar traits in terms of like you are taking action, but you're holding yourself accountable by saying, yes, I'm going to do that. And once you've put a name to it and you've put your name to it, you have to show up. Do you know what I mean? So look, I've hoped that's helped. I really do hope that you can take something from that. It is all about taking action, but having the accountability and having the support as well. I think like a lot of people say like not to tell their friends about stuff as well, because it can kind of almost jinx what you're going to do, but maybe find the right people to kind of share these kind of experiences with and these opportunities with, because they, so like some people have really helped me think about it differently as well. It hasn't all been me in terms of like how I've started thinking about stuff. I've had some really solid friends that have kind of helped me, helped guide me really. And some of the little communities I'm in as well, like they've been really, really important. So don't keep it all to yourself, because that can kind of be damaging as well if you just keep it all to yourself too much and you end up feeling isolated and alone. So yeah, I really hope that's helped. And yeah, good luck on your journey, and I'll see you in the next video. Choose wisely.